Alright, hello everybody. Welcome to round 2 of the FIA Manufacturer Cup Challenge. In this one I set a pretty decent qualifying time. Ended up I think qualifying 5th or so, which is pretty good for the Alpha 4C because it's kind of underpowered and this track has a lot of straightaways. So ended up doing pretty decent. I lied, I qualified 6th. So the goal here was just to at least maintain top 10 and try and bring home enough points that we stay in 5th place. But we'll have to see how the race goes and just kind of go through and hold it together. The strategy for this, I had 2 different strategies depending on where I qualified. If I qualified below 10th place, I would start on the hards and just stay out as long as possible and switch to the mediums. And if I qualified, not mediums, softs. And if I qualified in the top 10, then I'd go out on the softs and do 5 laps because the Alpha is really good with tires. So since I qualified 6th, I decided to go ahead and start on the softs and then just let it run. So without further ado, let's start the game or start the race. As always, turn 1 is interesting. Depending on how sharp it is, you can really run into some issues, but most of the people in this tier of racing know to kind of just slow down and back off for turn 1 so that we can settle into the race. But my goal at the start was to try and stay with the leaders because again Alpha's kind of underpowered on the straight, so if I knew if I had to lead a pack that I would get past pretty quickly. But even though it's slower on the straight, it is an absolute beast in the corners. It got fast in the corners. I can carry a lot more speed. So that was again the main goal, was just to stay with the front of the pack. So unfortunately the Lexus behind me decided that lap 1 would be a good time to start attacking. So I had to defend and ended up losing the lead pack basically on the first lap. So kind of threw a damper on things, and then it became a defensive race from lap 1 on. As you can see here, I'm just kind of cruising. I'm trying to settle in and just set a pace that I can keep and maintain. As you can see, the Lexus again moving in to try and make the pass, but not only being good on the brakes or being good in the corners, the Alpha's good on the brakes as well. So I can brake a lot later, and that's due to the lightweight. Basically, the lightweight car is just, it's very nimble. So they're going to be maxing out every gear, even though this was a fuel-saving race. Being out front, I needed to stay out there because once I got stuck in the pack, it would have just been it would have been hell to try and make it back up to the front. So as you can see, the front of the top 4 are already gone, but again I had to play the defensive game against this Lexus because instead of just backing off and letting us stay with the pack and maybe break off somewhere else, he decided that it would be a good idea to just attack. So, and there we go, lap 1 finished, still in 5th place. So that's good for me. Definitely good for me. Again, my plan was to pit around lap 4 or 5. It just depended on where I was in the crowd. If I was maintaining 5th, then I would pit on lap 5. That way I could do the overcut on everybody and again, there goes the Lexus coming up, trying to make a pass on the inside, but the brakes are just too good on the Alpha. So kind of held him at bay here. Again, there he is trying to attack on the inside. But this section here, the Alpha just absolutely owns it. It's so planted. It's so much better than the Evo I was driving last season. This next section is kind of tricky because it's an uphill left-hander, hard on the brakes, and then into a downhill right-hander that there's no runoff. So if you hit the wall, that's it. You're going to lose a ton of time. So hold it wide here, suck it into the apex, and just let off the gas and kind of cruise through, and then power out. They have a long straightaway here again, trying to break the toe of the Lexus. What a lot of people try to do is move more than once on the straightaways, but it's not necessarily the best thing to do. Move once, get your defense in, and then maintain your position. So if you're going to defend, go ahead and make that defense, and then move out. As you can see, the Lexus passed me there, but that's okay, because again, I'm settling into my pace, and I have my strategy of conserving my tires as much as possible, and basically trying to make them last until lap 5. And it's kind of better that he's out in front now, because with him being out front, I can get the slipstream. I made a little bit of a mistake there and ended up getting a bad run out of that corner, but because of the slipstream, I was able to stay with them, and now we end up having a battle for 7th place instead. But again, with the Alpha being so good in the corners, I knew I could take most of these cars and pass them again. Another tricky section here, because it goes downhill into a left-hander and then, a right-hander and then a left-hander and then a right-hander across the bridge. And again, the Alpha just very planted in this section, so I would end up really gaining a lot of time on the leaders, and then on the straightaways, as long as I had the slipstream, I could stay with them. But outside of that, it was very difficult, very difficult. As you can see, late on the brakes again, right up on the bumper of the Mercedes in front of me. Had to pull out because again, I got the better run out of that corner. So, and you can see it here as well, just end up getting a better run out of most of these corners than all of the big guys. But with their massive engines compared to mine, they usually just outrun me unless I can tuck back in. Coming up the hill, so right-hander. Again, just kind of settling in and just setting down, trying to get consistent lap times, because consistency is key in all of this. So just riding it out and hoping my original strategy would work out. As you can see here, I'm just getting an absolutely ridiculous run out of these corners. And then here you can see he's trying to break the toe, but even moving over for him, I would still get the toe from the leaders up front. Made a little bit of mistake there, just a little later on the brakes than I wanted to be, and coming under attack from the Lexus behind me, but cover that off and then defend on this run and then tuck right back in again. And this race ended up being very strategic. Like I said at the beginning, you just kind of have to pick a plan and stick to it. Coming up here, the Mercedes makes a mistake, pushes them wide, and I decided to shoot the gap, and it ended up working out for me, especially since the Lexus in the front, I could get the slipstream off of him, and little love tap in the back from the Lexus, because he had nowhere to go. So missed that apex a little bit, but that's alright, again, because the Alpha just moves out when it comes to corners. So as you can see here, I'm gaining on the Lexus in the corner, and I had to move over. He thought about trying to defend there, but that was already a car beside. But as you can see, as we top out, he just starts to move ahead again. But the good thing is I have the inside line for here and the inside line for the top corner. So unless he moves over to defend, I'm going to go ahead and take this position. Tuck it right in, power out, and now I'm back up into 5th place. Most of the guys here are probably going to stop for fuel and tires, but again, I decided that I was going to make these tires last, even though they were softs, as long as possible. So 5 laps. On the 5th lap, it can get sketchy, but that's alright. Here I decided, or excuse me, not decided, it just so happens that the leaders pit, which was perfect for me, because as they came out, I could get their slipstream, and my in-lap would be a lot faster, even though I was on absolutely worn out tires. Volkswagen up front getting a penalty for a little love tap, and just depending on how close I can get, I thought about trying to make the pass, but again, this is my in-lap, so really trying to make a pass here just to go into the pits, it's risky, so I decided to just sit back, stay in the slipstream, and have them pull me along so that I could get the best possible in-lap I could. As you can see, that corner there is very difficult, because right at the apex there's a bump, and it can get unsettling if you hit it wrong, because what happens is it kind of throws the car to the outside, so you just really have to let off the gas once the bump hits, commit, and go full throttle to get out. V-Dub's going to serve his penalty here. I'm going to pass him. No problems with that. Tuck back in. He's going to tuck into the slipstream as well, and he's going to get pulled along. But he's going to get his position back as soon as I go into the pits. I think a lap back I started pushing kind of hard just to try and make up some of the time that I had lost losing those positions. So I ended up using a little more fuel than I really wanted, but at the end of the day I stuck to my strategy, and at this point I'm kind of thinking it's working out, because with it being so underpowered, I needed to do everything that I could to just stay up front. So we're going to peel off into the pits now. Other V-Dub is going to go ahead and peel off with me as well. But as you can see, he's going to get a better run, or excuse me, a shorter time in the pits, because he did not have to put as much fuel as I did. So end up behind this Aston here, and it ends up being quite a good race with the Aston. A lot of pressure from me, and both of us are phenomenal drivers. This is the tier 2 guys or tier 3 guys. Sorry, I kind of tooted my own horn there, saying I'm a phenomenal driver. I'm okay. I at least try my best. Like I said, you can see the power of the Aston in the straightaways. It's just kind of pulling away from me. But when we get to one of the turns, you'll see that it just kind of, that lead kind of starts to fade away just a little bit. And you can see the run that I got out there across the bridge, and kind of creeping that time down. So I'm on the hards now, so the strategy's changed a little bit. I cannot be as aggressive as I should be, or as I want to be, I should say, just because these tires don't grip as well. They may last a little longer, but they just don't have the grip. The good thing is that I have less fuel in here, so they kind of act like mediums that are a couple laps in. I would say maybe mediums with 3 laps in. So there's still grip there. You just have to be a little more careful into the braking zones and into the turning and whatnot. So still chasing on this Aston, still trying to be aggressive, as there's not that many laps left, so I have to play as aggressive as I possibly can. Late into the brakes, if he goes to defend, taking the best possible line I can for the best run out of it, especially when it comes to straightaways. I have to get a run, because if I don't, then he's just going to leave me in the dust. Austin makes a little mistake here, runs a little wide, so I have to turn out and then tuck back into the slipstream, or at least try, because I know he's going to outrun me in the straightaway. So keep applying the pressure, and hopefully he'll make a mistake, and I can end up making that pass. Made another mistake there, and I'm there. I'm ready to make that pass when I need to. We'll go on board for a little bit and just kind of see how close this battle really is, and just to kind of show you as well what the straightaways are like, because even in the slipstream here, it's just I can't really gain ground on him. But places like here, I can carry a lot more speed, as you can see, a lot more exit speed, and kind of stay with him a little bit. Now in this slipstream I should be able to gain, and I say should because, as you can see, he's still pulling away from me. But it's still helpful for me because I can get away from them, and there you see he makes a little mistake and I'm ready. I'm about to pass him. He's still on my inside, so I have to leave him room around his corner, and I do so, and luckily he backs out. But again, I know he's going to get me on the straight, so I move over to break the slipstream, make my one move, and then move and stay in the center of the thing. Just not a full-on defense, but enough to let him know that this is where I'm going to be. And again, he tries to pass on the outside, but I'm going to stick to my line, roll the inside, and keep it there. And I see the Lexus on the outside, Austin on the inside, and I'm just getting attacked from everywhere. But my goal there was to just hold my line and hope that they would be not as committed as I was to holding everything. He left me room, which was fair, so I had to jump on the brakes a little bit and then turn out of the way again, because you can just see the exit speed of the Alpha is just, it's phenomenal. It's absolutely fantastic. Move over to defend because the Lexus was coming up. You can see him there on the left, but I have the inside line and I can brake much later, so tucked in, made my position stick, and then back to hunting down this Aston again. At this point I'm kind of getting worried about it because I've only got about a lap and a half left and I need to make something happen. So in my head I was basically saying I need to put pressure on him now. So I started being a lot more aggressive on the brakes, a lot more aggressive on the turn-ins, and just to try and make things, put the pressure on him. I knew I wasn't passing him on the straights, so I had to put the pressure on him in the corners, just be as close as possible and try and force him to make a mistake. So right now I'm in 7th, and again, just thinking, hold it all together. I didn't really want to settle for 7th, so just stay on his bumper as long as possible and just make sure that he doesn't lose me in any of these turns. So no mistakes, just make sure I make everything stick as best as possible. Try not to let him get away from me on the straightaways. Again, I knew in the turns that I could make things happen, but I had to be close enough. And you can see he's thinking about defending there, but I'm a little too far away. So his defense was quite good. So it just kind of made it difficult to get a pass in. And anywhere there wasn't a braking zone or anything like that, it made it tough. As you see, he kind of cut the track right there, so he got the 1 second penalty, which is unfortunate but good for me. Cut the track there again and hit the wall, which ended up giving him a 1.5 second penalty. So it just kind of worked out for me. And the goal now is to maintain my position and try and pull away. You see we ended up in 5th after that pass, and that's because we had a VW pit. I'm not sure why he pit twice. I know some of them are kind of rough on tires, but I think the one-stop strategy was the quickest, unless you are in a car that ate up tires like Ferrari or a couple of the other ones. But for the Alpha, the fastest was the one-stop. Either start on hards and switch to softs, or start on softs and switch to hards. Medium were an option, but the required tires for this was hard. So a lot of people tried to do 4 on softs, 1 on hard, and then 4 on softs again. Or they would do 1 on hard, and then 4 on softs. But again, Alpha was just so good on tires that I didn't need it. I could just do 5 on softs and still be very consistent. As you look over there on the right hand side of the screen, you can see that my lap times are very consistent. 22s, 20s, and with the 21s. So again, the goal here is just to maintain until the end. It's the final lap. I pushed really hard throughout the race, so basically just hold it together at this point. Stick to my braking points, stick to my turning points, not to get too excited that I'm in the position I'm in. So just keep everything planted, keep everything stuck to where it needs to be, and just send it home, send it across the line. Didn't have to really worry about them being too close and trying to make a pass, so just kind of stuck it in there and brought it across the finish line for 5th place. Felt good because, again, being in the tier that I'm in, it just kind of, it made me feel like I can actually hold my own. So again, bringing it across the line with 5th place. Until next time, maybe hopefully we can at least bring in maybe a podium. We'll see. That's all for now for ZFG Racing. Follow us on Facebook, like, subscribe, all that jazz, and see you later.